And we're joined now by someone named Deron Smallcomb. He is an attorney, an immigration attorney, who is based in a suburb of Dallas. And I understand, Deron, that you work with people who go to this facility for their jobs. Did you hear from any of them, and what are they saying?
Yeah, absolutely. We deal with ICE for the last decade on almost a daily basis, whether it's the umbrella of DHS, which covers ICE. And we're in an adversarial position with them because we're advocating for our clients. And of course, they're trying to enforce the law. And I'd like to say, even as an immigration attorney, we unequivocally condemn this violence, this epidemic of violence that's happening against people from a political standpoint. Um, I can tell you that our interactions with ICE over the years have been generally positive. They're on one side of the coin, we're on the other, but generally they're quite fair and reasonable when it comes to dealing with clients. Their job ultimately is to enforce the law, and it's a tough position when you have
Mm.
sanctuary jurisdictions all over the country that are withholding criminals from enforcement activities, and it's a tough deal.
So this is the third incident at an ICE facility this year. By some estimates, attacks are up on ICE agents around 1,000%. How concerned are you?
I'm really concerned for them. These are people with families that are doing their job. They are not Nazis, or as Gavin Newsom called them on Tuesday night, the Gestapo as part of an authoritarian government. The rhetoric needs to stop. And ultimately, these people are just doing their job. These comparisons to everybody that I disagree with as a Nazi is winding up with a lot of people dead. As you mentioned, there's been three such incidents. If you include CBP, there's actually been four incidents in just Texas since July, and it's unbelievable. And the irony here is that or this person went to shoot an ICE agent, but in fact, he hit immigrants that were being detained by
Yeah.
ICE. And the irony is not lost because what's happening with ICE is when they're not getting the criminals turned over to them in these sanctuary jurisdictions, they have to go into the communities to extract these criminals. And when they do that, the people that what they would consider a non-enforcement priority are getting caught up. So,
Right.
in my experience, when you find one person that's illegal, it's usually more than one that are living together. So when they go in to get the bad guy, they're also getting grandma and sometimes kids, and they didn't want to do that in the first place, but they're left with no choice.
I have a question about the protection, for the people that are coming to work each and every day, like you say, at these places. How was this able to happen in this particular incident?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody's hell bent on murder, they're gonna get an attempt out, more than likely. I mean, you have so many thousands of people that work for ICE. You have so many thousands, if not tens of thousands, detainees. And if somebody really wants to get them, we've seen that with the president, with Charlie Kirk, with others. They're going to. What has to happen is the people that are committing these actions. Um, are being spurred on, in my opinion, by politicians and the rhetoric that, in this case, is coming from the left. And the rhetoric needs to stop.
Mm.
If you go out and tell a million people that your opposition are Nazis and that Nazis should die, then one or two people out of that million are going to hear that message and take action. And that's what needs to stop.
I'm certain you recognize this. There are two sides to this story. I mean, some of the videos we've seen go viral of masked Asians snatching people off the street, pulling them away from their families in broad daylight. This is very concerning for tens of millions of Americans, and you seem to be laying all the blame on one side here.
Well, I think it's fairly laid more on one side than the other, and it doesn't concern tens of millions of Americans. What concerns tens of millions of Americans is that there are tens of millions of people that are undocumented in this country, and that many of them are military age males, and we don't know, what their background is, and they've been let into the country over the last 4 or 5 years. And I say this as an advocate for immigrants. We have countless people that are seeking legal paths that are delayed for, in some cases, a decade. We literally just had a case come up that has been sitting for a decade because of the backlog in the system. And it's unfair you have to choose who it's unfair to. Is it unfair to the people that are undocumented that may be targeted, or is it unfair to Americans whose resources are strapped, who are in more danger now because we have unvetted people that are out there? And ultimately, if sanctuary jurisdictions were turning over actual criminals to ICE, none of these raids would need to happen. At least they would be minimized to a great extent. And
Are
that's the
you not
reality of it.
are you not concerned? I hear from businesses all over the country who are concerned. Diners like this, for example, all over the country that have undocumented workers at farms, at factories, at diners, at restaurants. Are you concerned about the lack of employees if in fact 10 plus million are kicked out of the country?
Well, I think you make a valid point there, and I'm concerned on two levels as it relates to that. Number one, we're at the highest unemployment that we've had in America in perhaps my lifetime, and particularly with a younger demographic. There's just not jobs out there. Secondly, we don't have a robust immigration system. I wrote a book last summer advocating for a merit based and work based systems where we vet people that want to come into the country to work to be able to do these jobs that aren't being filled by other Americans. And we don't have a comprehensive system that allows this to happen. Our system right now is let's just turn a blind eye to people as they stream across the border because we need workers. We could easily put in a system that works for Americans, that works for the immigrants, that's fair and apportioned correctly.
All right, Deron Smallcomb, immigration attorney, thanks for your perspective this morning. We appreciate it.